The smallest Taipei-Shanghai Forum in history takes place, but controversy looms large over the meeting. As temperatures soar around the world, we take a look at the impact of climate change on Taiwan. A Taiwanese soldier makes her mark at one of the world's most famous military academies. And differences settled, a new tourist hotspot opens in eastern Taiwan after years of wrangling between the government and indigenous groups. A warm welcome to Taiwan Plus News. I'm Yin Khvat. The mayors of Taipei and Shanghai have held a joint forum designed to promote economic cooperation. It's the last meeting to be held under the current Taipei mayor Ko Wen-je. But with cross-strait tensions at their worst in decades, the forum has not come without controversy. James Chater reports.
An upbeat start for an uncommon scene of cross-strait cooperation. The mayors of Taipei and Shanghai meeting, albeit virtually, for the annual forum between the two cities. Organisers say the Taipei-Shanghai Forum, held yearly since 2010, is about fostering economic and personal ties between the two cities. But with relations between China and Taiwan at their worst in decades, exacerbated by the pandemic, this year's meeting is the shortest in its history, not even 2 hours long. Taipei's Mayor Ko Wen-je said current tensions with China are exactly why the forum should take place.
我相信交流比交恶好，对话比对抗好，友善比仇恨好。多交流可以累积善意，而更多的善意可以促进更好的交流，建立善的循环，为两岸谋和平，为人民谋福祉。更希望可以避免冲突，甚至避免战争。
That sentiment was echoed by Shanghai's mayor.
在两岸关系严峻复杂的条件下，我们两市仍然坚持举办论坛，就是为了不断地增进两岸人民的相互理解，为改善两岸关系累积善意。
But this rosy vision of cross-strait collaboration has proved a tough sell in Taiwan. Politicians across the divide have questioned the forum's value and the mayor's intentions in holding it.
他把双城论坛变成一个作秀的舞台，我们没有看到说这8年透过双城论坛达成什么对台北市有帮助的一些政策或者是一些协议。
现在要办双城论坛，他还扯什么？说什么是要缓和两岸紧张的关系？我觉得柯市长他只是为了要累积他自己的政治资本，而不顾一切。
Ko Wen-je isn't affiliated with either of the main political parties, but is expected to run for president in the 2024 elections. China is Taiwan's largest trading partner, and the Taipei-Shanghai Forum shows the importance officials here place on keeping economic channels open. But there are fears this will only deepen Taiwan's dependencies on its larger neighbour, which increasingly threatens to take the country by force. James Chater for Taiwan Plus in Taipei.
Taiwan has slammed comments by the new European Union ambassador to China that the bloc supports peaceful reunification between China and Taiwan. Jorge Toledo Albiñana is due to take up the post in September. In an interview with Spanish newspaper La Vanguard, he said that the EU supports peaceful reunification between China and Taiwan and not Taiwanese independence. But he says that if China invades Taiwan, the EU will join with the US and other allies in imposing measures on China similar to those on Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. Taiwan's foreign ministry criticized his comments.
我国跟中华人民共和国是互不隶属的，我国的国家主权也不容矮化、侵犯或者是并吞。台湾的主权只属于全体的台湾人民，也只有全体台湾人民才可以决定台湾的未来。
Europe won't turn a blind eye to China's threats on Taiwan. That's according to the highest-ranking European Parliament member to visit Taiwan.
Europe was late for Hong Kong. We won't be late for Taiwan. There is no room for Chinese aggression in democratic Taiwan. For the moment we witness war in Europe, we do not want to witness war in Asia. And so now is the moment to stand firm on the side of Taiwan. You and us, we are a family of democracies.
The European Parliament's Vice President Nicola Beer arrived in Taiwan on Tuesday for a 3-day trip, which will include a meeting with President Tsai Ing-wen. Her high-profile visit will also feature discussions on high-tech supply chain cooperation and security in the Taiwan Strait. The Speaker of Taiwan's legislature, You Xu-kun, is leading a delegation in the Czech Republic. On Monday, You met with the chair of the Czech Senate, who led a Czech delegation to Taiwan in 2020, despite Beijing's objections. At the time, Miloš Vystrčil made headlines for echoing John F. Kennedy's "I am a Berliner" speech, declaring, "I am Taiwanese." You's delegation had been scheduled to make a return visit to the Czech Republic last year, but it was postponed due to COVID-19. During a joint press conference, You praised Vystrčil's decision not to give in to Beijing's intimidation.
维多喜在立场不畏强权的欺压，勇敢带团访问台湾，坚持民主自由价值的行动，不止粉碎了中共战狼外交的恶行，也凸显出台湾对国际民主的贡献及在国际地缘政治中的重要地位。
Former U.S. Secretary of State Mark Esper says he believes Washington should move away from its policy of strategic ambiguity over whether it would come to Taiwan's defense. Esper met President Tsai Ing-wen in Taipei Tuesday morning. The U.S. has a decades-old policy that is deliberately vague over what it would do if China attacked Taiwan. Esper served as Secretary of State of Defense under former President Donald Trump. He is in Taiwan representing the Washington-based Atlantic Council think tank. He said that China threatens the rules-based international order and Taiwan is on the front lines.
The mere existence of a thriving democracy with a robust economy and our freedom-loving people is anathema to everything that the Chinese Communist Party believes. That is why that in this era it is important that the democracies of the West stand up and defend thriving democracies such as Taiwan against the bullying of your neighbor to the West.
Tens of thousands of people have fled their homes in southern Europe to escape wildfires sparked by a searing heat wave. At least 25,000 people in France and thousands more in Spain, Portugal and Greece have been forced to escape from the blazes. Passengers in Spain were surrounded by flames when their train was temporarily halted due to a wildfire near the tracks. And a British airport in Luton was forced to suspend all flights after part of its runway melted in the heat. Soaring temperatures across the region have already led to more than 1,000 deaths. For more on how Taiwan is preparing for the impact on climate change, our reporter Ryan Ho-Kilpatrick spoke with Shi Wanyu, Associate Professor of Urban Planning and Disaster Management at Minchuan University.
Right now, how well prepared is Taiwan to deal with the dangers of climate change?
I think for heat, we are kind of underestimate the influence. I think that is because we are in a subtropical island and we are kind of used to hot weather, and heat is something invisible. Many people are not aware of the threat and also the consequence of heat wave. For example, there can be a drought and also the heat wave at the same time. I don't think my government is prepared for all these complicated consequences.
So what do you think we should be doing more right now to prepare for climate change when it comes to, for example, the design of our urban spaces?
For urban heat or for heat island effect, or to reduce the heat wave intensity, I think nature-based solution is one thing we need to consider for our living environment. More greeneries, also more green facade, more green roof will be helpful to reduce the heat in the city. I think evergreen trees and larger canopy can really reduce the heat at street level. In Taipei, we are a basin, so naturally our summer is hotter and humid, and the ventilation relies on the nature corridor on the mountains, and also relies on the main river corridors to channel the wind from mountain to river. So this nature corridor is actually quite important for the city to breathe. However, the past urban development doesn't really consider these nature features. So I can see there's already high density development along with these nature wind corridors. And that is the danger because this can make the living environment even harder because the wind corridor has been blocked.
Climate change is affecting all aspects of people's lives. As we know, soaring temperatures are having a major impact on nature, and it's threatening to even change the way people eat. In Japan, Taiwan's neighbour to the north, warming seas and more powerful storms mean that key ingredients in Japanese cuisine may soon be hard to come by. John Van Trieste reports.
In the seas off Japan, climate change is starting to take a toll. Stocks of katsuo, or bonito fish, are falling, and fishermen say the normally lean fish are becoming fatty. That's bad news for Japan, and it's already concerning to restaurant owners.
このまま放っておくと、本当にカツオがいなくなるっていうのは、だいたい予想ができるっていうところですので、これは日本というとだし文化。かつお節から取っただし、そういったもので日本料理っていうのは結構成り立ってるんで、かつおがないとなるともう和食っていうのが、ちょっとこうお出しするのがすごく厳しくなるっていうようなところですごく危惧している状況ではあります。
Off the island of Shikoku, where a current brings the fish from tropical waters, warming seawater threatens to see stocks fall even further.
沿岸域の植物性の必要な栄養素が枯渇する傾向にあるっていうことは紛れもない事実のようです。ですから結果的に沿岸域のカツオのその資源量水揚げが大幅に減ってきている一つの原因としてこういう地球温暖化の影響も当然あるだろう。
Japan's wasabi is falling victim to global warming too. A 2019 typhoon hit one wasabi-producing area hard. And it's not just more powerful and frequent storms that are a threat.
地球温暖化も一つの要因だと考えていて、水温が下がって酸素量が減ってしまって生育に影響が出るということと、積雪量が減ることによって、間接的にでも獣害が起こってしまって、で、獣害によって生産者さんのやる気も失ってしまう。
Tougher conditions are driving some wasabi farmers to quit, cutting production further. Already, some restaurants, like this noodle shop in Tokyo, are cutting back on how much wasabi they offer customers. And there are fears that if nothing is done to overcome the shortages, it won't just be these staples disappearing from the menu. Bill Kong and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, the gift of silence. A Taiwan hiking path wins the world's first World Quiet Trail Award.
Hi everyone, it's Heatwave here and my go-to co-host, Mr. Sweet Open. In this episode, we will teach you some very useful Mandarin phrases. 再见, it means goodbye.
再见, 再见. I'm ready to go the minute I see you.
不然我再来杯吗？哇，那就不好意思。
Time goes by so fast.
Now it's time to say goodbye.
bubble tea has become such a big hit in the US that when the bubble tea crisis happened back in 2021, the country was hit hard. Did you know that these chewy tapioca bowls are actually from Taiwan? That's right, it's also where the first bubble tea was born. We started to realize that there's a host of toppings we could add to our teas. If you have ever been to a bubble tea shop, you might have heard something like 无糖少冰去冰半糖. But what does that mean exactly?
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please make sure to download the TaiwanPlus app.
What makes this island nation exceptionally punch way above its might? It's the fascinating human stories we heard, plus the greatest movies we saw. The enduring and painstaking past we learned, plus the beautiful people we met. The delightful cuisines we tasted, plus the coexistence of many cultures we embraced. The powerful, energizing technology we invented, plus the ancient masterpieces we preserved. The human rights we advanced, plus the motherland we called home. TaiwanPlus. We will continue to show you unheard, compelling stories that touch our hearts. Come with us as we embark on yet another unraveling journey to the world.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. Taiwan soldiers are preparing for a major upcoming military drill. Almost 100 parachute troopers took the plunge in southern Taiwan's Pingdong on Tuesday morning. This rehearsal comes ahead of next week's Hanguang military exercise, the country's largest annual drill. The Hanguang kicks off next Monday and runs for 5 days. With Taiwan's armed forces gearing up to practice their maneuvers next week, one among them will have a special achievement to celebrate with her fellow soldiers. Our reporter Ed Moon has more.
Clambering up a rope, diving from great heights, and hitting the bullseye. Taiwanese soldier Hu Jia-chi is never afraid to take on a challenge. She is just the second Taiwanese female graduate from the prestigious West Point Military Academy in the United States.
来到西点是代表国家，所以我看到其他人可能会躲在自己的舒适圈里面，我会觉得我必须要去做一些不一样的、特别的，去挑战自己，然后让世界看到台湾这样，就算只是一点点。
Taiwan lives under the constant threat of invasion from neighboring communist China, which claims the country as part of its own territory. Currently, only Taiwanese men undergo mandatory military service, but women can volunteer for the armed forces, where they are taking on an increasingly important role. Just last month, President Tsai Ing-wen promoted the country's latest female general, taking the total tally to 4, whose sisters are both also serving in Taiwan's armed forces, following in their father's footsteps. Now back in Taiwan, Hu Jia-chi is preparing to head back to her army unit, where she can put her 4 years of training in the US to good use, and maybe inspire more women to follow in her footsteps. Alex Chen and Ed Moon for Taiwan Plus.
Taiwan's women's tug-of-war team is back home after pulling through the 2022 World Games with flying colours. It's the team's 5th consecutive gold in the event. Taiwan won every match in the tournament, which was held in the US state of Alabama. In the finals, they defeated Sweden 3-0. The Taiwan team members are varied, with participants ranging from high school students taking part for the first time to seasoned competitors. The World Games is a global competition for sports that are not in the Olympics. Badminton's Taipei Open is back after a 2-year hiatus due to COVID. This year's tournament will take place at Taipei Heping Basketball Gymnasium from July 19th to 24th. A total prize of $500,000 is up for grabs. The international tournament has attracted 290 athletes from 27 countries. Olympians Li Yang and Wang Qiling will be joined by Taiwan's Queen of Badminton, Dai Ziying, and men's top seed Zhou Tianceng to defend Taiwan's home ground. Origami, the traditional Japanese art of folding paper, has been given a makeover by artist Aso Tokolo. Known for creating the symbol of the 2020 Olympics, he is now showcasing his latest piece, Tokolo Orizuru, in Taipei. It involves folding the classic crane with colours separated by the fold lines. And that's what he did with visitors at the opening of his exhibition. He says he is in Taiwan to spread luck and peace.
日本人も漢字を使いますので、祈ると折るっていう言葉が似てるっていうのはすごく偶然かもしれないんですけど、本当にこう折りながら祈る、祈りながら折るってことができて、それが起伏になったら本当にいいなと思ってます。それを台湾の方々とできたっていうのがとても光栄に思ってます。
A scenic lakeside trail in Yilan County has won an unusual special designation. As John Van Trieste reports, it's been declared the world's first silent trail, a rare place where it's possible to hear almost nothing at all.
There's something special in the air around Cuifeng Lake, the largest alpine lake in Taiwan. It's the silence. The humid cypress forest around the lake is blanketed with thick moss that acts like natural soundproofing. At times, sound levels can fall below 25 decibels, almost completely still. Such absolute quiet is rare in the modern world, even in nature. That's why, in 2018, after years of research and recording, Taiwan declared the Lakeside Trail the nation's first silent trail. It's a 4-kilometer stretch where hikers can be alone with the quiet. Now, Quiet Parks International, a nonprofit to preserve areas from noise, has taken things a step further. It certified the place as the world's first quiet trail. Field recorder Layla Fan, who nominated the site, has spent 8 years recording its quiet sounds. Fan says the work has given her insights.
原来身为人类，只要我们愿意够安静，够愿意静下来，够愿意谦卑，我觉得自然就会给我们不一样的应许。
A certification ceremony took place Monday to coincide to World Listening Day, a day when people are encouraged to listen to the world around them. Local indigenous people offered prayers and put on performances for the event. With the celebration over, the lake is now settling back into its usual state, surrounded by mist, moss, and quiet. James Rayner and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A new tourist spot is opening in eastern Taiwan, the Biho Hot Springs project. Eugene Huang has a story for TaiwanPlus.
This hot spring in the forest of eastern Taiwan is now the source of a major tourist attraction for the small town of Nan'ao. Residents here have waited 3 years for this hot spring park to open. Most of the townspeople are members of Taiwan's indigenous Atayal group. The complex was completed in 2019 but couldn't start its operation due to a land management dispute between 2 local tribes. But that was eventually settled.
在依据原基法21条，经过部落会议协商共识之后，今天能够完成这个启用的一个仪式，我们要特别谢谢所有部落族人的协助。
While many are happy about the revenue that could come with the new tourist spot, others are worried about possible negative impacts. The Council of Indigenous Peoples funded the project, hoping to bring in sustainable income for the local community. The hot spring park was built by the county government, which will manage it for 3 years before handing it over to the tribe. Piper Yu and Eugene Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's domestic tourism subsidies have kicked off a travel surge, but with more people swarming hotspots, they're taking a toll on the natural environment. Eric Gao looks at one case of bad tourist behavior.
The summer travel season has kicked off in Taiwan, with tourists flocking to the country's hottest destinations. This has been good news for local tourism operators who haven't seen much business during the COVID-19 pandemic, but it's not so great for local wildlife. On the offshore island of Xiaoliuqiu, this 20-centimeter-long giant clam was discovered in a trash bag at a barbecue restaurant. Clams like these had just been placed on Taiwan's protected species list in May. Authorities are looking for the perpetrator. If the perpetrator is found, they could be fined up to $5,000 US. Local residents are unhappy with this incident. Humans aren't the only threat that local wildlife is facing. Coral off Xiaoliuqiu and Kending are in danger of bleaching this summer from high temperatures and a projected lack of typhoons. Authorities are calling on everyone to do their part to protect these delicate environments. Bill Kong, Patrick Chen, and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. I'm Yin Khvat. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the Taiwan Plus app. Stay safe and see you next time.